What's going on, New York Giants fans? Hit Squad back at it with another video, and we have the big blue topic. The big blue topic, man. I mean, it's been quite some time since we last uploaded a video, but we're back at it. We got Dallas coming up on Monday. It's going to be a fun one. We got some things to talk about in this video. I got, as usual, Giant Opinion Sports to the left of me, and I also got Big Blue Corner to the right of me. It's gonna be a great episode. How y'all feeling, man? How y'all been?
Hey, how's it going, man? How's it going? Thanks for having us back again.
For
I
sure.
can't wait to get in. Can't wait to get into the Giants right now. I'm liking what I'm seeing. So let's get into it.
Most def. How you doing? Giant Opinion Sports. Everything good with you, man?
I'm good, man. I just got a new laptop in the mail and start get going on some videos here next week, hopefully. So I'm doing good. Talk some Giants.
Definitely, man. Congrats on that. Can't wait to see what you pump out. You guys can find Giant Opinion Sports and the Big Blue Corners YouTubes and Twitters in the description below. Go give them a follow. Go hit the subscribe button below, as well as join the Hit Squad. We're almost at 500 subscribers. Follow us on Twitter. The link is in the description. Now, with Dallas coming up, as usual, we are going to have some news. Yesterday, we brought you guys some news about Jalen Smith being signed on Monday. This week, Giants, I feel like, we've had quite a bit of news, especially with Kenny Golladay. That's been the talk. And honestly, man, before we even get, into Kenny Golladay and some of his quotes that he said, I personally have been one of the more open people that's, when we first signed him, I was really excited. I'm sure most Giants fans were excited. I definitely saw a few that weren't, especially when you look at the contract. But I was a really big fan of the signing, and looking at it now, with him not really getting production with us, and it just doesn't seem to be working. The contract looks worse by the day. Even though when you really look at it compared to what these other receivers are making, it's not that entirely bad, but I mean, with Kenny Golladay, man, I mean, how are y'all feeling? Because I mean, he's saying, he doesn't agree with, the coach's decision. He feels he should play regardless, which I agree. I definitely do think that he should be playing. And he didn't like the decision, and he feels confused. Because he feels like he came here to play. So, Giant Opinion Sports, man. I mean, how are you feeling about this? Because I mean, he only had 2 snaps against the Panthers, so you would think that the Giants are going to look to at least try to get him more involved.
Well, I'm a little mixed on it. I'd like to see him more, especially when we're down there, like in the 20, in the red zone, green zone, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, I get it. Unfortunately, Dave Gettleman's not here. Joe Judge ain't here, which are the people that brought him in. We got a new coaching staff. Now we've seen the kind of receivers that, the Wandale Robinson's them quick little guys that can get quick separation. I don't think Galladay's really their style of receiver, but still was like we've seen it this week against Carolina. They had trouble down there in the red zone, and Galladay's a big body. They really should probably throw him out there. But listen, that's a new coaching staff. They got their guys out there. They want to get a look at their guys. Kenny Galladay's not part of the like. I'm pretty sure he's gone after this year. He's not a long term answer for the team. So I understand why the coaching staff is doing what they're doing. And from Galladay's point of view, he knows he's gone after this year. He's looking for his next contract. So I
Yep.
can get why he's aggravated as well. Because I mean, he's if he gets 2 snaps a game, what's he going to get for a contract next year? It's been nothing but more injuries here. The people that say he's complete trash, you know, last time we talked about Galladay on here, I was defending him.
Yeah.
I was saying like he should lead the team in touchdowns. Like I expected him to lead the team in touchdowns this year. I'm just completely, honestly, myself confused with the situation. Part of me gets it, part of me don't. I'm not going to overly criticize the coaching staff, but it's just a disaster of a contract at this point. At least
Yeah.
we can get out from it pretty much next year. But honestly, and for me, it's just confusion overall.
Definitely, man. And I mean, I'm confused myself. I thought, going into this season, looking at how Brian Dable used Gabriel Davis last year. I thought he could be used in a similar fashion. And, we're seeing players like David Sills, Richie James, getting snaps over him. And you would think that with, Wandale being out with the knee injury, he would get more plays, he'd get more looks. Dave's, said that he had told Golladay ahead of time that, they're going to be going with Sills and that he took it like a professional. But at the same time, it's I can't fault Kenny Galladay because I feel like as a competitor, you're gonna want to bet on yourself. You're gonna tell people and genuinely believe in yourself that you should be out there. That you should be on the field making plays. You're getting paid a lot of money. And you're getting paid that kind of money sitting on the bench. Now I agree with you, GOS. And then I'm gonna toss it to you, Big Blue Corner. But when you look at it, man, it's just I just feel like something's gotta give because unfortunately, just like you pointed out, man, that contract is looking bad, and there's not going to be a team, in my opinion, that would take that on unless the Giants take on a portion of it. And when you look at it, I mean, why would they do that when if they wanted to, they could just wait until the Giants cut Golladay, which I don't think they would outright do that. I think it's kind of like a situation where two people want to lead the relationship, but unfortunately they can't. They're married to each other for this year. So, but Rodney, how are you feeling about this, man?
You know, I was reading a lot of this stuff about Kenny Galladay on Twitter, and I put something out there. Uh, I'll be honest with you, I don't really care, and I'm sorry to say it like that.
Oh, it's fair.
It's a it's a new regime, new coaching staff. You can see just based off of the first two games that we had, they're putting guys in there that want to play. Now, we're not privy to how the practices go. What exactly is Galladay doing to warrant two snaps in a game? Now, there was something that Dable did put out. I think it was after the first game where he says, whoever they're playing and whatever packages they're running, they have particular receivers for those packages that they're going to be running.
Hmm.
So where you saw where Kadarius Tony didn't get many snaps in the first game, but he got more snaps in the second game. I guess it was based off of who they were playing and what packages they were going to deploy for that game. But it all boils down to a couple things. One, it's what type of effort is he putting in during practice? What type of effort is you showing the team and those coaching staff that you're ready to go out there and do exactly what you need to do to help this team win? Now, we've seen a lot as far as where Galladay has is concerned last year, where it's like he didn't have the same motor. He was going out to catch passes. Now, this year, it's almost like some of the same thing, but it's gotten worse. It's like, okay, he took a step back. I'm a firm believer that, you know what, you put in, you get out of whatever it is that, whatever you put in, that's what you get out of it. If you're not putting in the effort, then why should you be on the field and trying to, say that I'm warranted more snaps? David Sills put in that time and that putting in that effort.
Yeah,
That's the
definitely.
reason why he's out there on the field. Now, is he better than Kenny Galladay? No. But if I'm Brian Dable and I'm looking at it from maybe their standpoint, whoever's coming in here to play, whoever's coming in and putting in that effort, they will play. And Kenny Galladay, for a $72 million contract, you should be going out there every single day of practice and showing them, look,
Absolutely.
I'm warranted this contract. Let me go out here and do what I got to do. You shouldn't be frustrated with anybody but yourself. And then for you to go out there on the media and say what you're saying as if this is something you deserve. Well, guess what? Show me that you deserve it. That's the first way I'm looking at it. I'm pretty sure Dable and that coaching staff and even the GM is saying the same thing to themselves. Show me that you deserve it. Because as far as I'm concerned, you haven't shown nothing.
It's very
All
true.
you doing is whining in front of the media saying what you deserve. Nah,
He
Yeah, I
you
should have
mean,
deserve
kept it in house. He should have kept it in house, pure and simple. I mean,
exactly.
it was a bad move on him. And for the
definitely.
production being down, it makes him look even worse. But it ain't like last year he was I mean, listen, the production wasn't great last year, but he at least was having what, 53 yards a game averaging out. if he played the whole year, he'd be a 900-yard receiver. I mean, that
Very true.
obviously ain't worth 21 million. But so I think there is a slight case for Golladay to say, you know, at a minimum, last year he would have been a 900-yard receiver. David Sills has been on the practice squad for the last 2 years.
Hmm.
So I think everybody's got a point on each side of what they're doing. But think of this, Rodney. David Sills, does he possibly have a future next year and beyond on the team?
Honestly, I don't think so. And the only reason why I say that is because how is Colin Johnson going to look when he comes back off of that injury? Because I think we can all be in agreement that Colin Johnson is pretty much Kenny Galladay's replacement
Right.
at a cheaper price.
Absolutely. If they
That
Now,
was a
resign him,
is
big
that
hit.
absolutely.
That was a huge
so?
hit for the team. I thought they
a-
had big plans for him.
And I'm pretty sure that they did because look, yeah, you can probably bench Kenny Galladay if Colin Johnson was healthy and still playing, and you wouldn't even have to really worry about that because you have that big time threat, that big receiver that you could go throw 50-50 balls to for
Yep.
a cheaper price.
Well, I asked you the David Sills question because I think no matter how well Kenny Galladay played this year or bad, this was going to be his last year with this regime.
Oh,
Joe Shane was going to
absolutely.
move on, recoup
Absolutely.
whatever money he could, post June cut or whatever it is. Where somebody like David Sills, you want to see what he's got. Get him out there, get him as many reps as possible, see if there's a possible role for him in the future, which is the way I think the coaching staff is thinking about this. Kenny Galladay is not the future. Maybe this guy, I mean, Richie James, which by the way, I like to pat myself in the back. I called it. He's a
You
big part
did.
of the
You
offense.
did. I gotta
Nobody
give you
else is
that.
saying it.
You
Nobody
did.
else is
I
saying
will give
that.
you that.
But I think that's where the coaching staff's coming from. And from that perspective, I get it. But listen, they're human beings out there. And
Mhm.
it's not right. I think that Kenny Galladay went public with them statements. That should have been more for Joe Shane and Brian Dable. But maybe he has, we don't know. Maybe he has been saying that to them and he's getting nothing back. Like, you
No,
know,
that's definitely a possibility, and I agree with you, Gos. I think all sides have a point. I understand certain points where Kenny Galladay's coming from, but at the same time, there's a lot of points where, and I get it. It's OTAs, it's preseason. You don't want to put your body at risk, but at least like show some more effort, man. I know you got
yeah,
that dog in you. We know what Kenny Galladay could be. You saw him out in Detroit, and I know a lot of people like to say Matthew Stafford made him, but when you look at his best season, I believe it was what, their second or third stringer throwing him the ball for most of the season, and he was still able to ball out. And I think,
yeah,
Daniel Jones, I mean, again, I don't think KG is a part of this future come next season. I don't see that happening. I think that the Giants, they can't wait to get off of this contract. But if you're gonna remain on this team, which most likely you are, prove on the field that you deserve to get these snaps. Because this dude can be such a red zone threat and just an underneath guy if you needed him to be, or make those difficult catches because he's capable of doing that. And I look, I like David Sills, good kid. It's a good story, but man, he is not Kenny Galladay. He's not.
You're right.
Kenny Galladay deserves to be on that field, but he has to prove it. To me, he has to show it. And you know what? If you're gonna show it against Dallas. You got all the
Well,
lights on you. Show it against
oh, sorry,
Dallas. But yeah,
sorry to cut
continue.
you off
You're
there,
good,
hit.
man.
No, so, you're right in the sense of David Sills is not Kenny Galladay, but you know what? He's put in that effort.
It's true.
Now, if Kenny Galladay wants to be the man, then guess what? When you get on that field, I want you to can you get separation? Can you get to the point where you can hustle and get that ball? Because we've seen last year towards the end of the season where he was getting passes thrown to him, but it's not like he didn't put in any effort of even going
yeah. He was
to get the ball.
alligator arm and passes late in the season.
Yeah.
There was a couple passes where he could have laid out and caught it.
All
He
right.
refused to do it.
Yep.
So if I'm looking at that tape of last year and then I'm seeing what you're doing in practice, I'm in my mindset, I'm looking at it like, what, this guy has no heart. He's only here for a paycheck. And that's that. So if that's the case, I'm going to put in people who wants to be here. So if David Sills is proving to me that he wants to be here, he wants to play, I'm giving him the snaps. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sit there and play favoritism just because you're a multi-million-dollar contract player. No, prove to me that you all are worthy of that contract by your play on the field. I'm sorry. It's just if you're at your job and you have someone that's there and he's making more money than you, but he ain't doing the work. You on the other hand, you're putting in the work and you're seeing that this guy's getting paid all this money. I'm doing the same amount of work and more, and I'm not getting paid what he is. You're gonna be disgruntled. You're not gonna like that situation. How you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
With Kenny Golladay, it may not be the same scenario, but case in point, it's the coaching staff that's looking at this and what they're seeing. So if you want to sit here and say, I deserve to be on the field, it's time to put up or shut up. Simple as that. Get on the field and show us that you're that guy that was back in 2019, 2020 before you got hurt that was putting up those big numbers with Matthew Stafford in Detroit.
yeah,
Can you do that here? If not, don't cry to the media. Sit down on the bench, collect your check, go home. Because we got other guys here that want to play. And just to prove it to you, we won those two games, and despite him being there, he wasn't on the field. Then probably, I think what how many catches has he even garnered in the last two games? One or two, maybe.
Two, yeah, two the first game. That was it,
yeah.
and they were
He
like short little dinky passes.
yeah, and with
Exactly.
Carolina, he only had 2 snaps, so
You
not
know,
there's not a lot.
but it just goes to my point that you have guys on this team that are trying to make this team I mean, the worst possible way for the simple fact they're showing that they have talent. They're ready to go out there and do exactly what they need to do to get this team to where it needs to be. This is the valuation year for a lot of these guys. You
Definitely.
know, Sa- Saquon is trying to get extended on, to stay with the Giants. Daniel Jones is, working to get a contract, and other guys are there as well. So, granted, I don't personally see him being with this team past this year. I don't, and I wouldn't surprise if they cut him.
Most
And good
definitely, man.
riddance.
Most
In my
And
definitely.
mind, good riddance.
to be
But
fair to the coaching staff, David Sills he came in undrafted, but he came into Buffalo. So, that was part of that whole. They were the ones that had the first interest in David Sills. Dable wanted him, wanted to get a good look at him. We stole him off their practice squad. But so, I mean, in some sense, David Sills is their guy in a weird kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, definitely when you point it like that, man, I mean, it does kind of make sense. And I mean, I know Sills Army, they're feeling good right now, seeing David Sills get his snaps. Again, the story's good. Hopefully, we can see KG on the field. But, to pivot into the next segment here, with Dallas coming up, you know, I mean, this to me, and I think to a lot of people, is just such an important game, and what better way for you to prove that you deserve to be on the field than your division rival, under the lights, prime time, Monday Night Football. I mean, it's going to be a really good one. I mean, it's the Giants, in my opinion. I think they got a shot. I think they have an actual legit shot to beat this Dallas Cowboys team who has had a number on them since what 2017, 2018 almost. Um, and going into this game, this could also be possibly be Kayvon Thibodeau and Aziz Ojulari's first start of the season. Brian Dable came out today and said that Aziz Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau are inching very close to playing. Now,
They practiced today, right?
they did.
Yeah.
Now, for me personally, I mean, when you look at this Dallas Cowboys team, they have an excellent defense. We all know that they have a good defense. They have Micah Parsons. I'm not. I respect the game of Trayvon Diggs. I know that's a whole other conversation, but I don't think that he's a corner that you can't beat. Whereas like a Jalen Ramsey, I wouldn't really want to target too much. But Trayvon Diggs, I feel like you can definitely target him and get your wins there. If obviously if things go correctly, they're not going to have Dak Prescott. This is a different offensive line they're not used to running, especially at the left tackle position. But let me get your guys' thoughts. Looking at this matchup, man. I mean, I think this could be a very good game. Michael Gallup is looking to get his first start of the season. Dables and Cruz sent out a mass email to all season ticket holders to wear all white so that they could do a whiteout on Monday. And Dallas actually announced they're going to be wearing their Navy jerseys. Um, but let me get you guys' thoughts, man. I mean, how are you liking this matchup on Monday night?
Uh, I'll go first. I would love to sit there and say we about to spank them cowgirls, but guess what? I don't know. I like the matchup. With Dak being out, maybe give us maybe might give us a small advantage because Cooper Rush game he played against Cincinnati, he wasn't the best. They squeaked that win out by a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
But Cooper Rush did what he had to do. He did enough to get his team to win. Now, I didn't see that they were putting a whole lot of pressure on Cooper Rush in that Cincinnati game. I'm pretty sure that Wink probably took a look at that film and said to himself, if we can get enough pressure on him to make mistakes, then that's going to definitely benefit us in the long run.
Absolutely.
So a lot of it has to do with how much pressure can you get to Cooper Rush and make him uncomfortable in that pocket. That is the biggest thing. The second thing is how can we neutralize that pass rush from Dallas, especially with Michael Parsons on the other side there.
Um,
Offensive line has got to play better. They have got to be able to pick up those blitzes and key in on where Michael Parsons is on that field. Because whether he's dropping back in coverage, which isn't all that much, a lot of the time he's right up at that line of scrimmage, either blitzing or helping to stop the run. So one way or the other, you got to be able to neutralize him. What is his name? Trayvon Diggs? Is it
Trayvon Diggs, yes.
Trayvon Diggs? I honestly think he's probably one of the most overrated quarterbacks in this league. And I'm only saying that because a lot of his interceptions last year were like just literally fluke luck interceptions. But not taking away anything from the kid, he is a very good cornerback. Who are we going to be able to? What kind of package are we going to be rolling out to be able to neutralize their secondary and be able to get our wide receivers open? So a lot of things have to come into play. But I honestly think it's a good matchup from just a standpoint of looking at it on paper. We can eke out a win as long as Daniel Jones doesn't make stupid mistakes.
You
We're
hit it
able
on
to
the nail.
establish,
Hit it on the
you
nail.
know, yeah. And also, can we establish the run? That is the main thing. We did not really do a good job of rushing in against Carolina. So establishing the run, giving Daniel Jones time in that pocket on the offense to be able to get plays made. A lot of things have to come into play, but that's the way I see it as far as from my outlook on the game.
Yeah, most definitely. And you make some good points there. And, I think when you look at Micah Parsons, right? You know, I'm not worried about Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas is going to do his thing. But when you look at Micah Parsons, a lot of his sacks come from the interior. So I'm looking at Glowinski. I'm looking at Feliciano, whoever they're going to put at left guard this week. I mean, our offensive line is going to be tested, man. I mean, dude is a monster. And I think if you could at least neutralize the kid, I mean, you're going to have a chance defensively. But I mean, if your playmakers are out there like Kadarius Toney, Richie James, Kenny Golladay, hopefully, or Darius Slayton, I mean, you got some weapons to work with, and you're gonna have a healthy Saquon Barkley. And I think that this is one of those games where if you're looking at Daniel Jones, you're saying to yourself, this has to be one of those games that you prove that you deserve to stay on this team for another year. These are one of those games. It's a division rival. Stakes are high right now. The Giants could potentially go 3-0. If they go 2-1, it's going to be a tie with Dallas. So for me personally, looking at this, I agree with you, Rod. I think if Daniel Jones can play a clean game, and if we can score points in the red zone, because you're not going to beat this Dallas Cowboys team with field goals, you sure as hell got a shot. And to add to your point on Cooper Rush before I pass it to GOS, he's a backup for a reason. I don't care what anyone says, he is a backup for a reason. And if you could pressure him, you could drop disguises. I mean, look at the work that Wink has done with this defense. Without Aziz and Kayvon. And we've gone against quarterbacks like Ryan Tannehill, who's a veteran, Baker Mayfield, who's a veteran, and we've been able to throw disguised looks and throw off the quarterback and really just cause havoc. I mean, I trust that Wink is gonna have this defense ready. Me personally, I'm not worried about the defense. I need to see Daniel Jones play a clean game. This offensive line has to play. I'm not gonna say it's best game so far of the season, but damn near. Because if not, you're gonna have Micah Parsons in your backfield. He's averaging 2 sacks a game right now. Contain him, you got a shot. But GOS, what are your thoughts going into this matchup, man?
I'll just be brutally honest about Dallas. They are a front running team. They're a team. If you can get up on them early and quick, they're the kind of games I've seen them lose the last few years. They want to get a lead and then just kill the clock and pound you out. So if you can get a quick score on them, a quick touchdown, or even get up even 6 points like we did last week, that would be huge for this game. If we have another weird, awkward play calling, bad decisions and just not running the ball like we saw week 1 and 2. Last week we ran the ball 5 times in the first half. I don't think you can do that. You can't get away with it this year. And all that trickery stuff down, once you do get down in the red zone, no, just give Saquon the ball. Dallas is very good at pass rushing and playing coverage behind it. But short sample size, only 2 weeks here. They've allowed 120 yards rushing a game on the ground. They're 19th right now in the NFL. Right up the middle. If they want, they're probably going to line Micah Parsons up over Evan Neal because I'm fine with him coming off against Andrew Thomas. I'm comfortable with that matchup. Maybe he gets a couple hurries or something out of it, even a sack, whatever. Overall, I'm not too worried about that. Dallas has been moving around off each side, whichever matchup that they like. That's how they've been using them. I've really been paying attention to Dallas because I knew we had them early. So I think they're going to line him up over Evan Neal. He does rush up the middle, but he hasn't been rushing up the middle a lot this year so far, like they did when he was a rookie. So I think second and long, third and long, they're going to send him up. They're going to put him on Evan Neal. Can you put Bellinger over there, who's been great so far, blocking, help, little things like that? Sure. So overall, I'm not too worried about Micah Parsons. I'm really not, even though the middle of our offensive line has been horrid this year.
Been bad.
the guards and center, it's probably been the worst I can think of in the last 8-9 years. You hope it gets better. But
you definitely hope that it gets better, and I think it will. They got to develop chemistry. For me personally, what I want to see is I want to see them run the ball. We saw going against
Absolutely.
Tennessee. Saquon was able to really just run with confidence, run with strength that we haven't seen since his rookie year. Kid looks good, and I think that if we can run the ball, that's only going to help the passing game. And if we can, keep Dallas on their toes, I think that's going to really help out this offense. And again, it's going to come down to Daniel Jones in this offensive line. I want Daniel Jones to go through his reads a little bit more. I want to see him take some chances. I don't mind seeing interceptions if they're downfield because for me, I know that you took a chance. You trusted your wide receiver to make a play. It didn't happen. It's okay. You live to see, another down when you come on the field again. But nah, for me, I gotta see Daniel Jones play better. I think that he can. I would not be actually. I would be kind of surprised if he came out and balled against Dallas. But I still think he has that dog in him. We saw it against the Saints last year. I want to see something similar.
I think you got to come out, run the ball 10 to 15 times in the first half.
And I love that.
None of this 5-6 times like we've seen the first 2 weeks. We don't need any of this trickery stuff. You want to try some here and there on the first down, I'm fine with that, but don't do it down there in the red zone. But I feel like if we don't score no points in the first half like we did the first 2 games, this will be the game we lose.
Absolutely.
This will be the game we lose. So at least pop a bit. If you could pop a big touchdown, like I said before, right off the start, or maybe your first couple drives, I think we'll win the game. But if it's halftime and it's this 6-0 or something, and Dallas is winning, they're just going to run the clock out on us, and that defense is tough. This is a way much tougher defense. I think. I think Carolina's defense didn't get enough credit last week.
Yeah, I gave him a
Dallas, I
lot.
think,
I gave him
is
a
a
lot,
little bit
man.
better. Oh, Carolina's defense was excellent last week.
Yeah,
That was a very good game on their part.
yeah,
They
absolutely.
had Daniel Jones flustered.
Yeah.
So,
Brad Burns
and
got some plays on AT as well,
and
which
Dallas is capable. Oh, they made Glowinski and Feliciano look silly last week.
they did.
Uh,
I
so,
agree.
so I think they'll do a little bit better because Dallas's interior defensive line isn't as good.
Mm,
So I think there is. It just I really do. I think it comes down to just popping a big play in the first half and running the ball. I don't think Jones even needs to be a big part of the equation. Just get the lead on Dallas, make them throw, and I think our defense will succeed if we can force them to. Obviously, got to stop the run too on defense. I mean, that
absolutely.
obviously that goes without saying. But
Yeah,
yeah, stop the run, score early, and I think we'll win this game pretty handily. Actually, I don't think it'll. I think it'll be. But otherwise, if we don't score in the first half, I mean, you're looking at a Carolina game. You're looking at
definitely.
that all over.
Yeah, and again, to kind of piggyback off what you just said, and stopping that run game for Dallas, it's going to be very crucial, especially since we're not going to have Leonard Williams in the mix. So I'm looking at Dexter Lawrence, DJ Davidson. I'm looking at Aziz and Kayvon, or if Aziz isn't ready, Kayvon and Jahad Ward, O'Shane. I'm looking at them to help stop this run game with Dallas, because we know that once they get running, if they see that that run game is working, they're not going to put their foot off the gas. They're going to keep
Right.
going.
Yep.
So I think if you could contain their run game, let Cooper Rush throw the ball. I mean, because I trust that Wink is going to confuse the hell out of Cooper Rush and just disguise blitzes or just disguise coverages, to really throw him off. I mean, this could be a game that could be won, but we got to see a clean game by this offensive line and by Daniel Jones.
Well,
I'm
Wink's going to take away all that easy stuff. That's what he's
exactly.
been doing. Like he's been, keeping people shallow, giving none of that easy stuff on the underneath. He's been taking it all away, and that's how we've been getting pressure. So I think you'll see a lot more of that. But you got to get them to at least, you got to keep them to at least 3rd and 5 and back.
Absolutely. And
Otherwise, they chew you up.
no,
Well, here's another
absolutely. Yeah.
thing. Well, here's another thing that we also gotta be, aware of, wary of, is our secondary. This is gonna be another test, a very good test for them. Uh, Now the first game against Tennessee, I'm not saying that we did a horrible job as far as Tannehill didn't light us up, but there were a lot of plays where the wide receivers were wide open and mainly in the middle of the field. They were wide open. Now, Carolina's game, we did a better job in Baker Mayfield. Granted, he can barely see over the freaking offensive line, so a lot of his passes, where they're gonna go. But he didn't light us up. We can say that Dallas's wide receiver core is probably a lot better than Tennessee and Carolina's. So that right there is a big question mark for me. How good can our cornerbacks play? CD Lamb, good chance Michael Gallup is coming back. Uh, I forgot the other guy's name. Oh man, the tight end there.
Well, Schultz
Schultz.
may not
He
play.
might be
Schultz.
out.
He
He
might
might
be
be
out.
out.
Now, I kind of want to push back a little bit there, only due to the fact that CD Lamb isn't playing well this year. I mean, Noah Brown, I mean, he's kind of hit or miss. I mean, and Gallup is coming off of a serious injury, and this is going to be his first game in. And I
Well, he might
think,
not play, right, Gallup?
I mean, they're looking to have him start on Monday. I mean,
All
I
right.
think he's gonna start. The way that it's looking, I think he's gonna start. But I'll be honest with you. I know that CD has a higher ceiling, but I mean, Robbie Anderson is still a dog. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a dog. We were able to contain him. I gotta credit Adoree Jackson. Adoree
Oh, he's
Jackson's
been
been
excellent,
having
man.
a solid season. He had a good season for us last year. It's really just cornerback too. I mean, our secondary, especially at the safety position, I mean, it's looking solid, man. And I think that if we can draw up pressures and if we can, at least if the ball is out and we're hitting Cooper Rush, I mean, I think that's going to really play a part too. I mean, I trust Wink in this defense. I'm really just looking at Daniel Jones in this offensive line, because if this offensive line can hold it for DJ, I think we might see a good game by this kid.
Oh yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. As far as the offense and making sure that Daniel Jones, one, he stays upright. Two, he can perform better with that pressure coming at him, and the offensive line holding up, so he can able to make plays. But
Absolutely.
as I've said, you win it in the trenches and you win it on both sides of the ball, one way or the other. Defense got to play good. Offense has to play good. Again, my biggest concern is our secondary. That's my biggest concern. Are we able to neutralize CD Lamb? Because believe it or not, he hasn't really, as you related to it earlier, he has not been playing well.
He has.
You know, he's a number one receiver now. He's not playing like he's a number one receiver. He's playing like he's a second string slot receiver. And that's where he shined because Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup and Cedric Wilson got all the attention. So CD Lamb was going to sit there and eat all day because of that. They were the ones that were garnering all that attention. Well, now the attention's on him. He hasn't really been stepping up. So what who which CD Lamb are we going to see out there? Are we going to see the CD Lamb that has been, eaten the past 2 seasons he's been here in the slot, or is we going to see a really true number one actually come into his own, so to speak, and use that to the Cowboys' advantage with Cooper Rush? Can he get that ball out? So the key again is get manufacture that pass rush somehow, some way with Wink, so that we can put enough pressure on Cooper Rush for him to make mistakes, so we can hopefully give our cornerbacks time to where they're out there on the island and not getting burnt. Because believe it or not, that's one thing that you always got to be concerned about Wink's defense. Yeah, he's going to bring the pressure, but he's leaving those guys out there on the island and big plays can't happen.
Yeah.
I don't want to think negative. I don't want to, bring the negativity into it, but it's something that you really have to take into consideration that it's a big possibility. So that pass rush has to get there on a
Yeah. Most
consistent
def.
basis.
I like Adori's chances. The way Adori's been playing this year, and he's been playing real physical. Yeah, and listen, CD Lamb, I call him Mr. Oopsie. I dropped it, did it. Because that dude drops balls like big important passes almost every game I watch. It feels like. So overall, I get him. He's a flashy player. I don't respect him a whole lot as a wide receiver number one. I think Adorio put the clamps on him pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it just seems like he's just not embracing that number one wide receiver role. It's like, okay, well, he just lacks a dazzle out there, not really putting. It's almost like he's just like Kenny Golladay. He's not putting forth the effort. You want to be considered a number one wide receiver. Well, you got to put forth the effort. You know.
Yeah. No, you make an excellent point there, and I mean, I think you guys definitely hit it on the nail. And it's gonna be a fun game. It's gonna be a fun game regardless. I mean, it's gonna be a color rush game. For the Giants, they're gonna be wearing those jerseys, which I love them. I think they're a top three jersey in this league. They look clean as hell. I want to see all white in that stadium, and Matt Rule said it. Right after the game that the crowd played a part in how things went. So if you're going to that game, you got to be loud, and definitely, man, there's a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake. But you guys heard it here first. Let us know your thoughts on this video below. Do you guys have Dallas winning? Do you have the Giants winning? Let us know below. I really want to hear your guys' thoughts. It's going to be a very good game with a lot on the line. It's been a long time since us as Giants fans can say that, but we're going to enjoy it while we can, win or lose. But again, let us know your thoughts below. You can find Giant Opinion Sports and Big Blue Corner's YouTube and Twitter links in the description below. And we'll see you guys on the next video.